Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the show that never ends. I've been thinking, actually for years, I've been in the VC, 2, 3, 4 years, about doing certain videos, and I never write them down, and I lose the thought. It goes away. Lately, I've been writing them down, and I'm going to start a top 10 list. I may do it once a week. I may forget about it for a couple weeks, but I'm going to try to get it going just for fun. Top 10. This week, the very first top 10 list are my 10 favorite Steve Earle albums. They're my favorite. They may not be yours, and that's cool. I'm not saying they're the best. They're my favorite. Steve Earle, born in 1955 at an Air Force base in Virginia. When he was 2, his parents moved back to Texas, and that's where he was raised. He was a Texan. He was very proud of that and talked about it a lot. At 17, he moved to Nashville to start a singing career in the late 70s. He actually wrote a song for Elvis Presley. That's true. And Elvis accepted it. I don't know if he bought it or what, but he agreed to record it. But he died like a couple months later. That could have been a golden ticket for Steve. But he hung out in Nashville. He pushed. Finally, in 82, he released his first solo album. A lot of people remember him as this kind of cowboy biker outlaw, but there's really a lot more substance to him. He describes himself as a socialist now, very much on that left wing. I'm going to talk more about that as I go through this video. At number 10, and this may be surprising for some people, number 10 is tied for, a lot of people think it's his debut album, but it's not. It was his major kind of breakthrough, Copperhead Road. We all know that song, Copperhead Road. And I actually still listen to it, even though I'm completely burnt out. And the reason this is tied for number 10 is because it has a wonderful Christmas song, Nothing But a Child. And a lot of people have recorded that song. It's a beautiful Christmas song. But this and Exit O are my coming in at number 10. And this one featured the song And the Rain Came Down. I don't know if you're familiar. But those two come in at number 10. Number 9, his debut album. And yeah, these are probably his most well-known albums, but they're pretty much at the bottom of my list. And that's not saying they're not good. I just have other favorites. Steve Earle, Guitar Town. Of course, Goodbye Is All We Got Left. Guitar Town, Good Old Boy, Getting By. Steve Earle coming in at number 9. I'm going to show this album even at the bottom because there's a story behind it. Steve Earle went to prison. Steve Earle it's known. He was an outlaw, man. He was actually a true outlaw. And he was really bad on drugs. He had gotten really skinny. He went to cop some dope. The police got involved. He was in a parking lot of some convenience store. Maybe it was a fast food restaurant. The police grabbed him. He had a gun in his pocket, and the gun fell out and hit the ground. He said all the cops pulled their guns hard. And this is going to sound very controversial. He didn't mean it in a bad way. He said, if I wasn't white, I would have been shot. If I wasn't white, I would have been shot. At the time he said that, I was like, nah, man, it ain't like that. But in the last few years, seeing the BML movement and how the police handle certain cases, he may have been right. But that kind of enlightened him. He also said, if I wasn't rich, I would have went to jail for flipping 20 years, not just, 3 years in a penitentiary. He would have been locked up forever. And he got out and he made this album after 5 years of being away from music. People thought he was washed up. He was done. He came out and he made Train A-Comin'. Very much a bluegrass kind of vibe to it, but still his acoustical stuff was there. The rock, it really wasn't on here. It was like, wow, Steve's doing some serious bluegrass, country, songwriting, storytelling. It has a song on here about Ben McCullen. Cusses a lot in that song, but it's about a young boy who was 17 years old, and he signed up for the Texas Infantry. And in the song, he's talking in that character, saying, well, they said I get $3 a week, 2 meals a day, and a rifle I could keep. Anyway, really strong album. That's Steve Earle coming in. I guess I'm going to put it at 7, even though it could be higher, because I wanted to show something. He went away, and like I said, when he came back, he was doing this. And over the years, his music changed. His album covers got really cool. Married to Allison Moore on this one. This is Nobody Gets Out of Here Alive. The only thing I did not like about this album, the song Nobody Gets Out of Here Alive was not included. You had to pay to download it. I think it may have been released as a 12-inch single, but Steve, come on, bro. This is a fantastic album. This is number 8. No One Gets Out of Here Alive. It's got the song on here, God is God. Doesn't matter what name you call him. He doesn't care. Doesn't even matter if you believe in him. He's there if you pray to him, Steve's talking about. It's kind of a cool song, man. Fantastic album, Steve Earle. What was that, number 6? I guess it was. Next up, this is Washington Square. Again, you see, going bald here. Old Steve's losing that hair. This really doesn't get political, but he talks about a lot of social issues on this one. He talks about hillbilly heroin, and the name of that song is Oxycontin Blues. If you're not familiar with the term hillbilly heroin, I know it's all over the world, all over the country, but this part of the country, you know, where a lot of his fan base is, it got rocked hard. Tennessee, Kentucky, the Carolinas, man, it got rocked hard with these doctors prescribing opium in the form of Oxycontin, and they called it hillbilly heroin. And this talks about that. You know, who's at fault? The pharmacist for filling it? No, he's doing what he's told. It's the doctors writing it. Maybe is it the pharmaceutical companies? Is it the people who couldn't control themselves? He's not pointing fingers. He's simply asking the question. And this is a wonderful, there's a cool verse on here. He goes, I never liked whiskey because it only made daddy mean. I like that song. Steve Earle. Coming in at number 5. Now, this is not his own music, and some of you go, how could you rate that? Because it's not his, it's a tribute album he did. It's a tribute album he did to the late Townes Van Zandt. And this is a 2 CD set. You can buy the single set. The first CD is 15 songs of Townes Van Zandt's done with his band. The other CD is 11 of those songs stripped down and done solo with just him and an acoustic guitar. Townes Van Zandt was his mentor, his hero, his friend. Steve Van Zandt, Townes Van Zandt. A lot of people got really into him, man, over the last couple of years, but I remember him in the 90s. I remember the day he died. I came across the news feed when I was in radio. It was a sad day. I remember seeing him live at Green Hall. At Green Hall, Townes Van Zandt. This is Steve Earle's tribute to him. Fantastic. Fantastic CD. I encourage, if you like Townes Van Zandt, you like Steve Earle, pick that up. This is The Mountain. This was recorded with Del McCoury Band. And this is a very special CD to me. I'd never get rid of this one. I've had it since, before it was released. And I was at WDVX in Knoxville working. And I got this CD personally given to me a couple weeks before it came out. I was working 1 day a week, 2 days a week at a place called the Disc Exchange in Knoxville, Chapman Highway. It was a legendary CD store. It was there for 25 years, maybe more. Anyway, I brought it in, and we each were allowed to take a turn playing a CD. And I played this. And some freaking brown-nosing kind of fucking employee, you know the guy I'm talking about. He's like, well, we don't have this in yet. We can't play this. Like, hey, we're playing it, bro. Well, if somebody has to buy it, we got to sell it to them. I said, chill out, dude. Chill out. And I don't know why I told that. It was just funny. But yeah, The Mountain. I saw this tour Dude, man, this was amazing. I had Del McCurry sign a WDVX license plate. Or I should get it down one day. Um, had a lot of people sign it. You want to wait a minute? I'll go get it. Fudge, what the heck? It's just hanging on the wall. I'll be back, I promise. Okay, I may have knocked a couple things down, but that's cool. Find his signature. Right here on top, Del McCurry. I got a lot of people signed this for me. Anyway, he signed it that night. He was such a gentleman. And I had met Steve Earle a few times before. I got the pleasure of meeting him a couple times, 4 or 5 actually. He's always a very genuine person. He's down to earth. He don't take no shit. Excuse the language. He is what he is. But The Mountain was a fantastic tour. Del McCurry was great. They played together for about 40 minutes. The Del McCurry band left, and Steve Earle played a set for like almost 2 hours. Fantastic. This album, The Revolution Starts Now. He got very political on this album. I mean, he got political. Has a song on here called F the FCC, and he says it in the song. F-U-C-K, the FCC. Just their control of everything, man. And the funny thing about this album, it starts with the song The Revolution Starts Now, and the last song on the CD is the same song done the exact same way. But at the beginning of it, he goes, again, and they did it. And in concert, he played the CD song for song, including The Revolution Starts Now beginning. And at the end of it, he played that song again. And we thought, is this the end of the concert? He took about a 10-minute break and came out and he played another hour of great stuff. Very, very revved up about what was going on in the world. W was in the White House. He hated W, and he would be very outspoken and just say harsh things. And, you know, you would have to just kind of take it with a grain of salt if you don't agree with it and just enjoy his music. Very revved up politically. And this album showed it. It's a great album. I love it, man. This is actually the album that made me fall in love with his music. And luckily, from here on, he put out great shit. I mean, just amazing stuff. This is I Feel All Right. I Feel a great song. This was, I forget the year, but this was the #1 Americana CD. Gavin Magazine, which was a trade magazine at the time, was the first person to actually track the Americana charts back when it was a real format. We had stations that were Americana, and I'm proud to say I was at 2 of them. And it was so new, you had to mix it with something. So we mixed our Americana with some Texas music like Jerry Jeff Walker, not Jerry Lee. And with some Tom Petty and the Grateful Dead and the Stones. I came to Knoxville to work for WDVX, and they mixed it with bluegrass. But this was a true Americana album. Someone says, what's Americana? You give them this CD, and that's it. That's number 2. Number 1, El Corazon. Buddy, got to see this tour too. Oh my gosh, this is a great album. Has a song on here called Christmas Time in Washington. It's not a Christmas song. It was written here in Tennessee. I think he said Crossville, the night that Bill Clinton was reelected as president. He wrote the song, It's Christmas Time in Washington, meaning the Democrats, you know, they're happy, they're celebrating. And in the song, this is the coolest thing. He says, the Republicans drink whiskey neat and thank their lucky stars. He can't seek a third term. There are no more FDRs. And the song keeps getting more political. Fort Worth Blues is a broken-hearted, just love song about a guy who is stuck in Fort Worth. He also has a duet with a beautiful Emmylou Harris on here, called Poison Lovers. Somewhere Out There, another broken-hearted love song. Right now, this is my favorite Steve Earle album. It could change. The top 3 changes. And I want to give an honorable mention to the album Jerusalem. This one, very controversial. This came out shortly after the tragic, horrible bombing of the Trade Center, which was just a horrible thing. And he addressed that. It was horrible. But there was a guy who was an American, he was a young kid from a very wealthy family named John Walker. And he flew over, was it Afghanistan? Somehow he got in that country. And he joined the Taliban to fight against USA. And Steve Earle wrote a song from the father's point of view. What would it be like if you found out your son, a good Jewish boy from a good home, and he knows what right from wrong, he's raised in this country. What would you do if you found out he turned traitor to fight against America? And for some reason, people took this song wrong, and there was some guy on not CNN, but Fox News. And he said Steve Earle's music should be banned from every American radio station for life. And say, dude, did you listen to the song? He's not praising the dude. He's saying, what if that was my song? That's haunting. He also has a song on here called Jerusalem. And the lyrics go, I don't want to mess them up. If he has them, please have them. But anyway, I'm going to paraphrase because I can't find him right off the bat. He woke up this morning and none of the news was good because death machines were riding through the ground where Jesus stood. And the man on his TV told him it's always been that way. There's nothing he could do. Then he goes on to say, but I believe one day all the children of Abraham will lay down their guns forever in Jerusalem. And this is some trying time, folk. Russia's messing with Ukraine. Maybe one day, all the children of Abraham, all of his children, will lay down their guns and stop the wars, stop the madness. Did not mean to get political. You can't talk about Steve Earle without getting political. I love you guys. I mean that. Please, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and be kind to somebody today.